Hello everyone, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I'm so glad you dropped by. Today we're going to make some fall flowers using coffee filters. These are like the number 4 coffee filters found in any store. Some food coloring and some water. And this is so satisfying and fun. Just a little twist on the card making this week. Gonna make some flowers. This is a tried and true method that's been around for quite a while, and I've never done it, but I just absolutely love these flowers. So you can see I took that coffee filter, stacked it, and folded it in half about 3 times. I don't know how many filters I grabbed. It was quite a few. I'm going to simply cut some scallops here along the top, and this was a little bit difficult because of the thickness of these filters. And if you've got a little few rough edges, just trim those off, round them out. It's just 3 little scallops. They don't have to be perfect. No flowers are perfect. Just do your best. Now moving on, I've got 3 bowls of water here, and this is just regular Adam's extract food coloring. I'm going to start with the yellow and then add a red, and then in the 3rd bowl I'm going to try to mix up a beautiful orange. Trying to just get some fall vibes going here. Play with this. I think as I was doing this, I could have used less water and my colors would have been a little more intense. They're still beautiful. These kind of dry back on those coffee filters like a watercolor. So consider it like watercolor. It's going to dry back a few shades lighter, and in fact it's not even going to stay very true to color per the palette of the food coloring. Anyway, this is easier to show you than to explain, so here we go. There's my 3 colors. I'm going to keep it very simple. I've just brought over a little baking rack here so I get some air around these filters to let them dry after I'm through dipping them. And you can see how these soak up the food coloring. They're just going to do all the work for you. I'm just using some reverse tweezers. I wasn't sure if this food coloring would stain my hands, but it really didn't. So here I've got kind of this candy corn looking colors going. See how satisfying this is? It's kind of like tie-dye, but with coffee filters. Who knew? This was so much fun. And of course, the palette possibilities are, your color palette is limitless. I mean, you could mix up whatever you want here. Make some spring flowers using different colors. Again, I was just trying to go for the fall vibe here and get some really deep and dark, rich colors. So you can see I've soaked it from each end, and then I'm just trying to tinge the edge here a little bit. And you can like flip these over and see that it's kind of absorbing uniformly. Look at this. You open them up here. I'm setting them on my little drying rack, my baking rack to dry. I'm going to open these up. Oh, they're gorgeous already. Loving them. Now the middle one's looking a little more on the pinkish shade. Like I told you, it's really hard to get the true colors here. Maybe different food coloring and less water. I mean, just play around with it. So I'm going to take a few of these and re-dip them while they're still wet, seeing if I can intensify the color on the edges of these petals. Now, while I'm going through this, I'm just going to open these up again and kind of set them aside for a little bit. That pink one in the middle was still kind of bugging me, so you can see I reduced the water in my bowl, and I'm adding a little more of that red, just trying to get a really deep, rich tint on the edge of these petals, just to see what will happen. So I'm just going to work with this one little flower here and see if I can intensify that color. It's even with less water, it's not as much of a contrast as I thought I would get, so I'm just going to apply the food coloring directly here to the edge of my petals and hope I don't mess this up. Okay, natural flowers, who gives a care? Let's just see what happens. Now by doing this, it's not uniformly going to go through all of those layers on the inside, but just giving it a go here, see what happens. At least it toned down that pinkish tint. Oh, I love that so much. Now you can see it didn't really get on the inside fold, so I'm just going to manually add more of that food coloring and keep working at this. I think you'd really enjoy doing this project. In fact, it would be probably fun to do with the kiddos. And what am I going to do with these flowers? I'm going to use them on some craft bags, gift bags, and add a little bit of raffia and some ribbon and just jazz up the bags. I think that would be great for gift giving. It'd be pretty on a wrapped gift too. So anyway, I let these completely dry. You can see the colors dyed back just a little bit. And they faded back different layers, you know, on the inside, which is fine. It's going to make a very interesting flower. Now I took about 3 of each of these different colors and just kind of, you know, put them together. No right or wrong way to do it. I stapled them in the middle, and then you're simply going to grasp that and fold it up towards the middle and kind of scrunch it towards the bottom. Now, this is why your filters need to be completely dry, because they actually have a little more stability to them after having been wet and dried. So they're going to stay together rather nicely. I mean, I didn't add anything to this paper but food coloring and water, and you can see how they're going to stay and hold up. It's really pretty cool how this works, because you might think they were going to be flimsy or floppy, but no, they hold their shape. And look at all these beautiful variations of colors coming up here, which makes it look more like a natural flower. I'm going to give this a good press, and then I'll start pulling out the petals one filter at a time, just gently pulling them out. You don't want to make them completely flat. And you can fold some of the petals down on the edges and some up. That gives it more of a natural look. Isn't that a lovely flower with the yellow center? I just love them so much. So out of that handful of filters, I was able to make 4 flowers, and you can see they're going to be they're all the same size coffee filter, but when I used less filters per flower, it makes kind of a medium flower. And then I'll even get to a smaller flower when I only had a handful of filters. But they're all just gorgeous, all different, depending on how you layer up your colors. I think you would really enjoy this project. I hope you get inspired to give it a try. Thank you so much for stopping by today. If you're interested, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Feel free to leave me some comments, and I'll see you next week. Happy crafting, everyone.